on to our main topic this week, which is the WWE and some of the big surprises. I really feel like it's 1995 all over again, right? I feel like that because 1995 was a slow year for the WWF. Obviously, it was a year which started to help WCW and build their momentum to taking over, the ratings war for a little bit. It was arguably what a lot of people say the worst year, between the golden age of Hulk Hogan and the Attitude Era, which came to follow it. But the WWF in 1995 was selling itself on the brand of the company. It didn't have the major stars. And I'm not saying we don't have big stars nowadays, but I feel like obviously we talked last week about WrestleMania ticket sales slumping, in the Royal Rumble, a lot of people thinking it was just a so-so Royal Rumble, and that it feels like we are just being sold on WWE as the product and not so much really gravitating towards the stars. Obviously, John Cena is now done. I'm not saying AJ Styles would have really moved the needle one way or the other, but John Cena is like a Hulk Hogan fading away, like, how Hulk Hogan left in 1993, and that started that era. We had to go on the backs of Bret Hart and Diesel, things like that. But we're moving on to a main event that's probably going to be Roman Reigns versus CM Punk, which is a formidable main event. Last year, it was a semi-main event with Seth Rollins mixed in. We've got a lot of injuries going on, and now they're starting to pull the little bit of mystery stuff to kind of keep us interested, but I'm wondering, are any of these things going to have big payoffs? First, we'll talk about the Masked Man. And last week, I was all but certain it was Logan Paul. And I said, until I see Logan Paul and the Masked Man in the same place at the same time, I believe it's Logan Paul. Well, now we've seen him in the same place, same time. It's no longer Logan Paul. I will correct myself. I didn't realize that last week, Logan Paul actually came out later in the show after the Masked Man and ran him off. So I guess that already
It's funny. I was thinking that afterwards. I'm like, wait a second. Because I remember
he went in the back, the Masked Man came out, and then after the Masked Man started to run away, Logan Paul came back out and ran away with him and ran him off the building.
It is. I'm going to tell you who I think it is, because these internet detectives are taking a lot of still pictures and still frames of the Masked Man, because he stood in the audience for a while, so a lot of people were able to get.
He's definitely wearing like that Undertaker black kind of thing underneath, like the '96 Undertaker thing, because it's definitely not who he is.
No, and I'm going to tell you who it is. I'm pretty sure based off of that, I think it's Grayson Waller.
That's what I've been hearing, and I have to say, I get it. It looks like Grayson Waller, but here's my thing: Grayson Waller attacking the division in which Austin Theory joined as the Masked Man a few months prior. Is that a big, can they do that? If they pull off his mask and it's Grayson Waller. Remember, Grayson Waller and Austin Theory were dark match specialists, off television, main event guys, the Sunday Night Heat equivalent, never on pay-per-views, not even in the Royal Rumble, when you have 30 spots. And with all of this going down, and the Vision being essentially the modern day Bloodline in the sense of the amount of time they're getting on television and the importance they're having, can WWE really afford for the Masked Men to be Austin Theory and Grayson Waller heading into WrestleMania season?
I wouldn't advise it, but it certainly looked like Grayson Waller in the mask. I
hear you.
It doesn't make to me. You're laying it up where it's like, Grayson Waller and Theory had their, they're falling out, this and that. It would be so WWE to do something that just falls flat like that, because it's not Seth Rollins. The more I looked at it, the way the pictures and the videos that I've seen online, the close-ups, it's not Seth Rollins. I'm ruling him out. Honestly, I really think it's Grayson Waller, but the other part of me says this. Maybe Grayson Waller, and I don't think this is the case, but WWE could, have Grayson Waller be the stand-in until they bring in the main person. You never know with these things, because you don't really know 100% because he hasn't taken the mask off yet. You can look at a person all you want and think it's somebody, but if they do the face paint and everything like that, who knows at this point? So I'm not saying I think it's Grayson Waller, but I wouldn't be surprised in some aspects where he could be the stand-in, maybe.
I will say, if it was somebody, let's just say, because there's been a lot of talk about trying to obviously sell WrestleMania tickets. There's been a lot of talk lately, as for the last couple of weeks about, Bad Bunny making a return to the WWE. And, obviously setting up whether it's him against Logan Paul at WrestleMania. I don't know, him and teaming up with Damian Priest, whatever it is. But if they somehow pulled out that it was him, that would be very WWF 95 like, because we've already seen enough to know that it's not him, right? There's a few people it can be, with the whole stand-in, but obviously,
Yeah.
it can't be Royce Keys under there. Like, you know what I mean? Like that
Yeah,
would
it's
just
not
be very
Boss.
1995, like, back in the day when they were trying to convince us the Undertaker versus Undertaker. And obviously nowadays, when I was a kid, I kind of bought that, you know what I mean? But now as an adult, you can be like, they didn't even look alike. They weren't even the same height. Like, I can't believe they tried even pulling, or like the fake Diesel and the fake Razor Ramon. I don't even know, because I wasn't, like I said, a hardcore fan back in 1996. So I don't know if that was supposed to be a gimmick and be silly, or if they were really supposed to make us believe that that was Diesel and Razor Ramon, when it was the eventual Kane as Isaac Yankem, and whoever that, Mark Glenn Jacobs and whoever the heck Razor Ramon was played by. But here's who if it ends up being Grayson Waller, I think that is going to tank WrestleMania sales, because there is just, listen, if you want to build it up for anything, if you want that to be Grayson Waller and then this build up for like a year into something bigger and grander, have at it. But if this is building up to anything that's going to have a payoff in the next 6 weeks, because no one cares about Grayson Waller, no one really cares
No,
about Austin Theory. They did care about Austin Theory a couple of years ago. He was as hot as can be, and then they cooled him
not
right
anymore.
down. You know
Not
what I mean?
anymore.
Yeah.
I mean, here's the thing. If it's Grayson Waller, which to me, it just I can't get over how much it looks like Grayson Waller. If that's the case, I think WWE. I think you're right. I think it falls flat and blows up in their face ahead of WrestleMania. I don't think it's a great move. I wish they would intertwine. Who do you think would be the best person though? Who do you think would be the best?
Well, here's what I say about Grayson Waller. Here's why it also would be really flat. Because you need me to care about the person first and foremost, right? So if they spend 6 weeks building up Grayson Waller without the mask, and then he ends up being the person under the mask, then that's different. You know what I mean? Because we don't care about Grayson Waller. He's barely on television. When he's on television, it's not an important role. So clearly, it's not going to make us feel like he's important. You got to make us feel similar, what you're doing with Kit Wilson right now. I'm not saying you're making him feel important that much, but you're giving him a singles run, you're putting him on television, you're making him somebody. So if, a year down the road, he becomes somebody important, we'll have at least seen him go on the road to being an individual like that. I would say one person now that I know it's not Logan Paul, that would be a big splash. I know it's kind of out of left field, but again, who else could it be? Jake Paul. I know that's kind of out of left field. But that would be somebody whom would make a splash, would set up an instant like WrestleMania kind of thing I want to see, right? Like I said, I get it, I just don't know who could pull off the mask. Who could pull off the mask? Let's pretend that we didn't see that it's a white guy that's about 180 pounds with a little goatee, right? Let's pretend it could be anybody, right?
Yeah.
I mean, who could pull off the mask that you would go? I mean, because now we've built it up. Because that's the problem. He didn't pull off the mask on Raw, right? They let him get away, so they've built it up a little bit more. If they maybe pull the mask off like the first time he did it, it doesn't have to be as important. But the more you build it up, the more important it's got to be. So who could it be that you would go, now that's interesting?
I mean, that's a short list. You know what I mean?
At least in the current WWE roster.
Yeah, I mean, on the current roster, I mean, there isn't, unless it's an absolute like swerve in some way, shape, or form, like somebody who was their biggest, like a big foe of theirs.
Yeah, unless
like,
it's Seth Rollins, right?
I mean, like somebody like, I don't know, like a Sami Zayn, like, that's something. I mean, I'm not saying that's actually going to happen, but like somebody that like has been like attacked, by these groups over the years, and then he finally has this mental breakdown, and then he's like, screw it, I'm going to go join them. Could it be like an Uso? Like, who,
yeah, I mean, they're pretending we can't see the color of their skin. Yes.
I mean WWE would. I mean, if they
I mean,
do
it's even
something like
difficult
that,
though, because I mean, now without really like pulling up the archives, I feel like the Masked Man's already been around with the Usos present, with Sami Zayn present. Um, I
yeah,
mean, we
to me,
obviously Finn
it's
Balor's not
Grayson
involved.
Waller. It's Grayson Waller. I think they're trying to push Grayson Waller. I think that's
You
what
got
it
to
is.
push him first, though, right? It's the same reason why when Royce Keys came out, they put Powerhouse Hobbs on the screen because you got to make us know who it is before we care that it's
So
Royce
are you? So are
Keys.
you suggesting that like obviously the Masked Man is Grayson Waller? If it is, assuming it is,
Mhm.
you think they push the actual Grayson Waller without a mask right now before they unveil him?
That's
Would
what they
that be a
should
good
be
idea?
doing. That's what they should be doing.
I agree. I agree with that. I just they're not going to because then it's a dead giveaway. Like, oh, now they're magically pushing this guy who looks like the Masked Man. You know, like you're not. There's like a you're not going to win either way. You know what I mean? Like it's one of those
It's
spots
just
where
crazy because the vision a few weeks ago or a few months ago, right? We had Bronson Reed, Braun Breaker, Seth Rollins. I mean, like I said, this was the new bloodline in the sense of the faction that was going to occupy our televisions. And now we're adding Austin Theory, no Seth Rollins, no Braun Breaker, and potentially they're going to be feuding with Grayson Waller. Like, what are they going to team up? What's he going to team up with the heel New Day for a 6-man tag of Grayson Waller and the New Day versus Division at WrestleMania?
I hope not. I mean, Grayson. Here's the thing. To be fair, Grayson Waller is entertaining. I'll give him that. When he does get his chances,
Yeah.
he's entertaining. But like, it's not somebody we as fans can take seriously enough to put him in a big spot like that. To me,
Yeah. I
it
mean,
doesn't make sense.
yeah. I mean, I don't think it's Randy. It looks kind of like a Randy Orton build, but I don't think it's him. But I mean, that would be a better. It's a little too late. Like I said, with the goatee giveaway, he doesn't have that. Kevin Owens, obviously a little bit chunkier, so that doesn't fly. So yeah,
Yes. You know what would have been funny though, because you know you can do it nowadays. Like put him in a bodysuit and like really give it away, like not give it away. I guess like because you know how they do it. Like you can put people in bodysuits now
yeah.
and like make them look
Remember
bigger.
Eric Bischoff? He was the priest to marry Billy and Chuck. In
Yes,
their
he
Billy and
was.
Chuck, and he had to rip off the fake nose and the fake mask and all
Yes,
that stuff. And he was
do
nobody
something
knew it was
like
Eric
that.
Bischoff.
Like that would have
Yeah.
been cool. Like because then you won't because with the internet the way it is, social media the way it is, like and you had the masked person stand out there as long as he did, you're just giving people a chance to take out their high definition smartphones and taking pictures and saying, "Hey, look at the close up, look at the eye shape, look at the face, look at the structure." Like you're doing all these investigating. You have to do something where you make them wear like a fat suit, you know, or like a or you know, you really put like a like you just said, Eric Bischoff had a whole new mask and stuff on to really cover it up. Like to me, it's you got to be more elaborate now because of the internet wrestling detectives, you know?
So let's move on to the box. This past week on Monday Night Raw, a delivery to WWE of all places. I'm surprised it didn't make it go to Stamford, Connecticut. I imagine if I put to WWE on any kind of packaging and didn't have an address, imagining it would go to Stamford, Connecticut by default, then it would be to some random arena in Tennessee where WWE happens to be. But the package, big box, if you will, human-sized box is to WWE, open on February 28th. AKA the date of the Elimination Chamber.
Yeah.
Adam Pearce said he's going to send it along to SmackDown to see what Nick Aldis is going to do with it. Because we're opening this up on pay-per-view, right? Last year we brought in The Rock and Travis Scott and had the whole big thing to sell tickets for the Elimination Chamber. This year it's a box. What could the be in the box? Is it going to be a human being? Are we going to play that again, 1995 card where we're going to pretend that a human being has been in the box and we're going to suspend disbelief? Or is it going to be something else? Is it going to be a small box within a box that's got something important in it? There's going to be a list for Jericho.
Yeah, right. I mean, you just mentioned Jericho. I mean, they could, that could be the gift of Jericho. You know what I mean?
I think it would be, if it was something to do with Jericho, I think it would be better if it was a symbol that Jericho's coming back more than like Chris Jericho himself. Because again, that's just too hokey for a human being to come out of a box.
Yeah, I mean, maybe they could do something along the lines of like, like something that hints at like maybe Fozzy or like a previous Chris Jericho. Maybe they put like a chair and like the way they put it up, it makes a clipboard of the list.
Mhm.
Something like that could be creative. I think you're right though. You can't like put a human being and transfer it around. Like it doesn't make sense.
Yeah. And when it comes to Chris Jericho, a lot of people have been talking about his contract, that he is firmly in AEW. Part of the reason why you haven't seen him on TV and some of the stuff and based on his contract is that he was kind of one of those holdovers due to an injury where they kind of froze his contract. So even though his last day was December 31st, it actually technically wasn't.
Yeah.
So a lot of people are saying that, that's kind of why, he hasn't showed up like in WWE yet. And, he's still on the AEW page and things like
Well, I
that.
think more. I think it's more so the Fozzy tour. They're in the UK. They were in the UK at
Yes.
least.
But so I would say with Chris Jericho, as let's just say still a thought, we're pretend that he's coming back to WWE still. Um, would you have him be a completely new gimmick? Because that's his thing, is reinventing himself. Would he reinvent himself, or would he come back with the list, come back with the Y2J gimmick, like, or would he maybe come back something completely new? What would be your guess or
I
hope?
mean, my hope. So my guess is it'll be a whole new like gimmick. But my no, I guess no, I guess my guess would be it's a whole new gimmick. My hope is it's somewhere along the lines of the list, maybe a Y2J kind of a crossover like part of it, because I don't really want like anything that's like remotely AEW Chris Jericho. I just think doesn't work, and obviously it hasn't worked. It worked for all of maybe a year or two when they were just getting their footing, but after a while, people got really sick of it. Like they got over the inner circle and all that stuff. So I mean, I'm hoping it's kind of a combination of like the list and Y2J.
I
Like
guess
to
here's a
get to
question though.
Jericho.
One thing that was very over in AEW is Judas, right? Are you gonna let fans sing it like they do with the Cody Rhodes song? Or are you gonna give him the
I think
old?
they do. I think he does bring that music with him.
Okay.
I prefer see for me I prefer in a way like as a cool throwback as they do the countdown like they did when they had that the Y2J
Yes.
thing. That would be cool. Kind of like how they reintroduced like or not reintroduced but introduced Powerhouse Hobbs as Royce Keys. Do the countdown and then they flip it right into Fozzie's Judas song, like something like that. Like that would be kind of cool, like a kind of a combination of things. Like, yes, this is who I was when I first came to WWE. This is who I am now since I've been out of WWE. Like that would be kind of cool.
So do we have any kind of idea? I will say, here's a guess for the box. Something that reveals like not a person, but like something that's maybe like a contract or a symbol that just gives away that somebody's going to be a part of WrestleMania. Could be a Brahma Bull logo. You know what I mean? Could be a smoke a
Yeah,
skull.
that would make sense.
Something like that. I guess when it comes to the mask man, we've already talked about that, but the box, does this have to be big? Because again, if it's not big, then
What's the
you
point?
bring it to Monday Night Raw, you open it up, you see what it is, or you just bring it to the Elimination Chamber and see what it is. But if you're going to be passing it from show to show and you're going to be hyping it up as you got to tune into Elimination Chamber because we got this match, we got this match, we got this match, and oh, by the way, we've got the opening of the box. If this is going to be a part of the show that people, when they're scanning their tickets to go in the arena, are like, I want to see who's in that box, that's part of the program. It's got to be something more than just some backstage silly. It's got to be more than the golden egg, right? That was the biggest flop. I mean, I don't
Yeah,
know if that's the biggest
that
flop on the
sucked.
gobbledygooker.
Yeah, that sucked. The whole the golden egg thing that sucked. I mean, I think it could be how they could introduce it, like the opening of the box, is like there could be some shenanigans like outside of the chamber, and like obviously there whether it's before the match or after the match, somebody gets like tackled into it or something, and then like or like somebody gets thrown into it, something like that, and then the box obviously breaks open, and then you have like a Ulafala or something. You know what I mean? Like something. I'm not saying it's going to be an Ulafala, but something that relates to people can say, "Hey, that's so and so," or "Oh, wait, they're gonna be at WrestleMania. Maybe that'd be kind of cool."
Yeah,
Like
maybe this time around, whatever comes out will actually be at WrestleMania because last year, we're just about one full year, because next week will be the Elimination Chamber. We're one full year removed from The Rock's last appearance in the WWE. He came out, he turned John Cena heel, and he took off. And you know, he was out of WWE all the rest of the year. Travis Scott, that was a failed experiment as well.
Yeah, that sucked. That fell flat.
So, I mean, I'm looking forward to it, but again, to start this whole segment off, we talked about 1995 WWF, and you know some of the nonsense, and even you know like I know the Undertaker versus Undertaker thing was '94, and the fake Diesel and fake Razor Ramon that was '96, but kind of that whole little era. And I'm hoping that at the end of the day, when we open the box and we reveal the Masked Man, it isn't just nonsense. It isn't just
Hopefully not.
doink, you know, spraying confetti in our face. Like they would in 1995.
I hope not, because that'll really upset the fan base. I don't think they'll do that. It's got to be something decent. You know, I feel like it's got to be something that's going to be presented or set up for WrestleMania. Like it's to get more interest in ticket sales and more buys for the WrestleMania event itself. That's what you're shooting for that. Whether it happens, I guess we'll have to wait to see, right?
They've got, you know, a lot of tickets to sell. And weirdly, since the last time we actually talked, they've removed some seats. For example, originally they had sold 37,000 seats as of our last week's show. Report today says they've actually only sold 35,000 seats, and 2,000 seats that were originally accounted for, sold off the map, have returned to the map. I don't know if they were like giveaways that they took back. I don't know if they were seats that they thought they sold that they didn't sell. But now the actual new number is 2,000 less than it was last week at this time. It is now 35,000 sold for, I think, Saturday into WrestleMania. Like last year, they announced around 60,000, and we're just about 55 days away from WrestleMania. And we're not going to have John Cena. We're not having Hulk Hogan. We're not having, it looks probably like The Rock, right?
No AJ Styles.
You know, no AJ Styles. So it'll be interesting to see, you know, are they going to move this to the Hartford Civic Center like they did at WrestleMania 11? You know, I'm just kidding. Or actually WrestleMania 7, they moved it to the LA Sports Arena from the LA Coliseum because of terroristic threats, which are actually because they only sold about 15,000 seats in a 100,000 seat building, and they had to move fast. But we'll see who's in the box and who's behind the mask.